Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Best Life and Beyond. We are going to do something a little bit special on this video. This is a peek into Disneyland during the 2020 closure. Current visible views and status update looking into the park. We are not viewing anything that the public cannot view themselves. We're sharing this with you, views from Anaheim, and we will never focus or share unauthorized visuals or behind walls to preserve the Disney magic that we love so much. And we are in a location accessible by the public in Anaheim. And we decided it would be fun to share these views with you guys inside Disneyland while the park remains closed here in California. So with that said, let us get started. Okay, taking a look at this first photo. Might be very obvious to some of you, but I will explain anyways. Center of the screen, that is the Disneyland Railroad Station, Main Street Station, with the flag at full mast there. And in the background, you can see the Disneyland Hotel. That's the Adventureland Tower to the right, that big kind of blue building there. To the left in the background, a little bit lower, almost left center of screen, you can see Downtown Disney. That's either Black Tap or Catal. I'm not sure from this skewed angle which one that is. And then far left, upper left, is the Frontierland Tower of the Disneyland Hotel. And going back over in front of the Adventureland Tower, you can see kind of through the trees, there's kind of a white structure. It's got a couple little triangular shaped roof adornments. That we believe is ESPN Zone based on this extreme angle that we're looking at. And in this next photo, we kind of widen out a little bit, and starting on the left, once again, there is the Adventureland Tower of the Disneyland Hotel. Below that is the Main Street Station that we already looked at with the flagpole on the left. And then kind of center upper portion of the screen, that is the Fantasyland Tower portion of the Disneyland Hotel. And then moving down kind of center right where that arrow is, that is the Disneyland Opera House. Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. That is the kind of that top piece of the center of that building, that adornment that you see there. Here, I'll show a photo of it. There it is from the town square angle. And then back to the photo here where we can also see just to the kind of right center of the screen, there's City Hall with that very distinct shaped roof line that we know so well. And just to the right of City Hall, poking up out of those trees there, that is the Disneyland flagpole right there in Town Square, where they always have that flag retreat every day at 5 o'clock and honor our servicemen and servicewomen who have dedicated their lives to protecting our country in all the many branches of the military. Okay, now we are going to move on out of Main Street area, further into the park. We're going to go kind of deep into the park to a place that is very special to me. I'm sure it's special to a lot of you. A building that we have not seen in quite some time, and we were all wondering what's going on, what is happening with it. Well, I'm about to reveal it to you now. Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. That's my best Paul Frees I can do. I'm terrible at doing a Paul Frees, but Paul Frees, obviously, if you don't know, is the voice of the ghost host that we all know so well when he freaks us out in the stretching room in the very beginning. Anyways, there it is, completely surrounded by scaffolding still, kind of as we left it when the park closed months ago. So many months ago. This time of year, we would be looking, I think we would still be in the overlay process of doing the overlay for Nightmare Before Christmas. I believe that would premiere sometime in September. So the attraction at this point would be closed. Yeah, good old Haunted Mansion. August 9th, 1969 was its premiere. We just had its 51st birthday earlier this month. Sad that we couldn't be there to celebrate. We were there for the 50th, and what a time that was. You should go check out that video. They had all sorts of special things going on that you'll never see again, and it was a special time, so go check that video out. Good to see our Haunted Mansion. It is my favorite attraction, if you don't know. Always has been. As a kid, I honestly thought that that place really was filled with 999 happy haunts. I truly believe that. There it is. Good old mansion. Good to see you. Miss you. And now we're going to move just to the right of Haunted Mansion. Some of you may know where I'm going. It was in the news a lot in the last couple of months. There's big changes coming up for this attraction. That's right, you guessed it, I was talking about Splash Mountain. There she is. Great view from the distance. You can see that legendary drop out of Chickapin Hill right there. Always freaks me out. That is such a good log flume ride. Originally dropped back in 1989, July 17th. Inspired directly by Disney's 1946 controversial Song of the South. It basically follows a couple of the characters from that movie, Brer Rabbit and Brer Bear, but more importantly, Brer Rabbit's search for his laughing place. But that is all going to change because we have a brand new retheming or reimagined version of this attraction in the form of the New Adventures with Princess Tiana, inspired by The Princess and the Frog, and it really fits with New Orleans Square, which is right next door to Splash Mountain. And in the bottom of this photo, bottom right where that arrow is, you see that little kind of black, kind of vertical protrusion out of the trees with the gold top. Some of you may be wondering what that is. Some of you may know exactly what that is, and we're going to show it to you right now with a better angle. And there you go, a little bit more revealing. Do you see what is below that vertical piece, that white little structure right there? Some of you probably guessed it already. That is the pilot house of the Mark Twain. Yep, there it is. Little flags up on top there, and the one smokestack that you can see from this skewed angle. So clearly that thing is parked in Fowler's Harbor based on this angle that we're seeing right here. That is just amazing to see. It blew me away when I first saw it. I didn't see it in person when I took this photo. I had to zoom in on the computer, but yep, there she is, the good old Mark Twain. We got a video where Katie's actually up there driving the Mark Twain, ringing the bell. What a day that was. Amazing, amazing Disney magic. And yeah, just it was such a surprise to get to see the old Mark Twain. And you can't mention the Mark Twain without mentioning another floating vessel that we all love that occupies the rivers of America. Of course, I'm speaking about the sailing ship Columbia, and there are two of her masts poking out of the trees right there. We don't see the third, but we know she's a 10-gun, 3-masted sailing ship. That's part of the spiel that I always like to repeat. But yeah, there she is, parked at the dock, because that's the only other place that she could be parked, because the Mark Twain is occupying Fowler's Harbor, based on the previous photos we saw. But yeah, there she is, all her majesty. You can't hide from us, Columbia, you can't hide. Something else that can't hide from us, in the kind of center part of the screen, right there, that little flag that's sticking up, that is the flag on the Golden Horseshoe, right in the center of the building there that you see from the front side, but there it is poking out just barely. Yeah, I had to zoom in to find that one, but kind of cool. That also confirms the fact that Columbia is parked at the dock, because the dock is right across from the Golden Horseshoe. And as we kind of pull back and go to the right a little bit from the Columbia, we start to see, obviously, the Moonliner in Tomorrowland, as well as other elements in Tomorrowland that I will point out to you and describe if you can't tell from this weird angle what we're looking at. Those tan-colored, sand-colored kind of blades that you see sticking up to the left there. I've seen a couple of those on the top of Star Tours building. I think that's what those are pretty much. Then right next to those, in between those blades and the Moonliner, you see those two white vertical structures sticking up. That is that giant structure that's just to the left of Star Trader. A similar structure, a smaller version of it, houses the Space Mountain sign at the entrance to Space Mountain. Similar kind of design. And then, of course, obviously, center of screen, the most prominent thing we see is the Moonliner. That's actually the Moonliner 3. It's a scaled-down version of the original one that used to be there. It sits in front of Alien Pizza Planet now, otherwise known as the Pizza Port back in the day. Then you see next to that, you see some kind of triangular structures, of which are the entrance into Tomorrowland proper. You can see the Star Tours structure with that vertical pole attached to it with those circular embellishments. That's Star Tours right there. And then obviously next to Star Tours is the Rocket Jet's centrifuge, if that's all I could think of to call it. And then the big building in the lower right in the foreground there, that is, right now, that is called Launch Bay. But it used to obviously be the Carousel of Progress, the building that used to spin around, Then it was Innoventions for a while. And of course now it's Launch Bay. And then just in the right-hand corner, you see that little red and white spire sticking up. That is literally the top of the Fantasy Fair Theater tent structure, kind of. Just being able to see that right there. Now, panning to the right a little bit further over, looking still at Tomorrowland. If you see at the center of your screen right there, that vertical pole that's sticking up with the red little embellishment on the bottom, that is Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters right there. That's the top of the sign that you see advertising that attraction. And then to the right of that, you can see the top of what used to be the rocket jets in Tomorrowland above the former People Mover track, also known as Rocket Rod's track. That is the thing that they put up there in place of the rockets, that embellishment. There's lights up there, and it looks like kind of a rocket or something like that, but that is right there at the back of Tomorrowland. And then if you look at the top kind of left of the screen, poking out of the trees in the back, that white structure, that is Mickey and Friends parking structure poking through there. And now we're looking at a different angle towards Tomorrowland, and you can see a big triangular shape right there, and that is the front of Launch Bay. That shape was built into that circular building when they did Innoventions. It was an addition to the Carousel of Progress building when they changed it over, and it made the cut when they changed it over into Launch Bay. And moving on to the big centerpiece of Tomorrowland, there it is, Space Mountain. Space Mountain is really how I should pronounce it. Yeah, we get a really clear view of this. There's a lot of places that you can see Space Mountain from. You can see it from downtown Disney, as Adam the Woo kind of pointed out to me recently. You can see it from a lot of places, but this is a really good view where you can see the upper structure there and the kind of the original concept shapes up there. Those what look to be almost track-like features circulating around the top of the building. In the original concept of this ride, the roller coaster was supposed to come out of the building, and that consequently would have been some of the tracks in early concept. And it's interesting that the design kind of retained that look a little bit, even though the coaster obviously stays inside. And I think it was the right decision, because if you were to come outside, it might ruin the fact that you feel like you're in outer space flying around. It would take away from that idea. This time of year, usually it's Ghost Galaxy, and it's got the crazy purple and green lighting, and Ghost Leisha, as Katie calls it, that comes around every once in a while and haunts the building, as it were. But yeah, Space Mountain, good old Space Mountain. And speaking of mountains, there she is, Matterhorn bobsleds, the majestic Matterhorn with some Galaxy's Edge, black spires in the distance. You can also see Tinkerbell's flight path, that big wire that comes out of there. They've put a lot of things, the Up House, Buzz Lightyear, a lot of things have traveled that path there. And you can see it pretty clear in this picture. Matterhorn, 1959, world's first tubular steel roller coaster in the world. Thank you, Bob Gurr. He had a major part in constructing that and figuring out the engineering involved in creating that roller coaster. One of my favorites. It is kind of a backbuster. It's pretty brutal. It's not for the faint of heart, but you can't beat it because there's a Yeti in there. His name's Harold, and he scares the living you-know-what out of everybody, and we love that so much. And props to the Matterhorn. You can even see the waterfall, the dry waterfall on that one side. There's multiple waterfalls on the Matterhorn, but you can kind of see that one right there. And you can't mention Matterhorn without mentioning the Matter Tree. That's right, that clump of trees, that giant clump of trees right there. We also call it the tree horn. That is basically cut that way to block the view of the Matterhorn from other lands such as New Orleans Square. Disney has a great ability to do that, to immerse you so much in the land you're in that you can't see the outside world, and that is one of those prime examples. The Matter Tree is made up of multiple trees that exist just to the kind of the right of the Frontierland entrance is where they start if you're in Disneyland. And it's just one of those cool things that once you realize it, once you see it, you can't unsee it, kind of, and it makes perfect sense in how Disney immerses you in the different areas, and you forget about the outside world, and you forget about even the land that is potentially right next door to the one that you're at. Keeping it in the mountain theme, there she is poking up out of the trees, center top of the screen, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, one of our favorite attractions. That's where you'll hear Adam the Woo say, "Best remove 'em." That's the best I could do. Adam does it better. Can't wait to be able to hear him say that when we're back on that attraction, flying through the mine caverns. The good thing about Big Thunder is that it kind of retains some of the old theme of Nature's Wonderland, which I loved as a kid, and that great Frontierland vibe. All right, we're looking at these two structures poking out of the trees there, the triangular one and the kind of rounded one. Those are those kind of big towers that you see. There's multiple, there's more than just two, but those are the towers that you see on the parade route that leads to It's a Small World, kind of from like Matterhorn area, Storybook Land. They start there and then they go all the way down that route. They house all the lighting for the parades, and they decorate them in all the seasons really nicely. And now we take you off planet to Batuu Black Spire Outpost, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, aka Star Wars Land. There it is, on the other side of those trees. And that giant petrified tree, which I believe it is, I think it's a combination of petrified trees and spires, I don't know. Anyways, I love that structure because it's got that big hole bored out into it, and it just looks otherworldly. And the weird thing about this photo is seeing part of the Matterhorn creeping in on the right side of the frame there. It almost blends in as if there's part of Galaxy's Edge that has snow on it, but it is just the Matterhorn blending into that background. And as we look at the other side of the Matterhorn, the right side from our perspective, you see more of the black spires and or the petrified trees poking out, easily dwarfing all those giant trees that we see. And in this next photo, get ready, you're going to see something really, really cool here. There it is, that structure in the kind of center of the frame right there, that otherworldly structure that, you know, those always reminded me of Jabba's palace, those circular, interplanetary looking sci-fi buildings. And here's another one, the biggest one that I think that exists in Galaxy's Edge. That one really looks like Jabba's palace, and it screams Star Wars to me. It's perfect in its design, and we used to see this when it was being constructed from the Mark Twain at Rivers of America, and we were so excited when we saw the level of Star Wars-ness that was happening here. And speaking of Star Wars-ness, the ultimate level of Star Wars is in some of the vehicles and the ships, and we can see on the left of frame right there, I believe, I'm not certain, but I believe that is the tail fin of the ship that sits above Docking Bay 7 that you see firing up every once in a while. You see the engines glow. It's also the ship that has the 3 dates of the original trilogy on the ship itself, 77, 80, and 83, kind of a little Easter egg there. But I believe that is that ship that you can see barely poking out there. Okay, next up, we're going to get to look at the most iconic building in Disneyland, the Disneyland Castle. But before we do that, let us park hop right across the Esplanade into Disney California Adventure and see what we can see. And there she is, the obvious telltale structures. A lot less detective work involved in deciphering what's going on at California Adventure, but obviously, center of the screen, we see the Incredicoaster with its giant red scream tubes that really define California Adventure. And the other obvious elements that we see, obviously Mickey's Fun Wheel, aka Mickey's Wheel of Death to a lot of people. And in the foreground of the wheel, we see Carthay Circle popping up out there, home of the premiere of Snow White in 1937. The original building, not there anymore in Los Angeles, but we have this scaled-down version to remember that momentous occasion by, as well as the restaurants in Carthay are quite amazing, and if you haven't experienced them, please go check them out. To the right of that, obviously, there is Grizzly Peak, that granite grizzly bear, as I call him, that perches high above Grizzly River Rapids, snow-capped, a lot like Matterhorn, very majestic. And in this photo, we got a lot going on, so let's start in the back with Paradise Pier Hotel, obviously that giant building that you see. Foreground of that, you see the roof line and a couple of the suites of the Grand Californian Hotel that borders Disney California Adventure. And then that big hangar-looking structure is Soarin'. And below that is the actual entrance to California Adventure, in the form of those Pan-Pacific Theater Art Deco structures, those aquamarine structures that you see the flags on, the red flags. Those are based on an actual theater that was in Los Angeles years ago. I saw it before it burned. It is no longer in existence, but it is immortalized forever at the entrance to Disney California Adventure for all to enjoy. Now we're going to shift to the other side of the park, and there it is, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. You can also see Stage 17, that giant building. Guardians, by the way, has been lit up a lot. Every time we drive by, pretty much it's lit up at night, which is kind of a good feeling to see that there's hope, you know what I mean? And a little bit closer view shows us the backside of Radiator Springs. It's that wall that you can see from Harbor and Catella that kind of shrouds it and camouflages it, but we can also see parts of Cadillac Ridge poking out because we're looking at it from such an extreme angle. Now some specifics from DCA. We see bottom left the water tower that's in the Hollywood backlot. We also see just behind that the sign, the marquee for the Animation Academy, the giant theater-looking structure on Hollywood Boulevard. To the right of that, obviously, Pixar Pier's loop for the Incredicoaster with the Pixar Pier logo. Kind of right near where we met Pixar Charlie for the first time, what pretty much gave him his name. And then you see the little red rooftops poking out. That is the Lamplight Lounge area, formerly Cove Bar, that kind of zone right there. And that's going to do it for DCA. It's pretty much all we can see from this angle, so we are going to jump back over to Disneyland. There's a couple more things that I want to show you, including probably the most iconic thing, the most iconic building that there ever was and that there ever will be at Disneyland. But first we're going to take a look at this photo, which is really interesting. It combines a lot of different elements. First thing we're going to talk about is that castle that you see, that little castle. That is Cinderella's castle. That is in the Casey Jr. ride as well as Storybook Land. And foreground of that, interestingly, that green roof line you see, that is the Matterhorn queue. I know it's weird, but from this angle, that is what that is. And to the left of that Matterhorn roof, you see those three little white poles sticking up with the little blue lights on the top. That is the queue for Autopia, the roof line for the queue in Autopia. And now you've been waiting for it, last but not least, the pièce de résistance, as I call it, the centerpiece, the icon of magic that defines Disneyland. Sleeping Beauty's castle. There she is in all her glory with her beautiful restored roof lines, fresh paint job. Man, we miss that castle. That literally is the centerpiece. It's the thing that you never get tired of looking at. Every time you walk by it, it evokes the magic that Walt Disney wanted us to feel. 100%. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. And I can't wait to make that wish again along, I'm sure, with you guys, to get back into Disneyland and enjoy it for the beauty and the magic that it holds. And we're going to end it right there. Hope you enjoyed that peek into Disneyland during its 2020 closure. I know it's been helpful to me to be able to see in there and just realize that, hey, it's all still there. It's waiting for us. It's going to be there when this is over because this will end. And we'll get to be back inside, seeing all those iconic views the way that they were designed to be seen. And if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you're not already, and we will see you next time on Best Life and Beyond. Bye-bye, everybody.